Hello, people. Awesome50 back again. And today I'm going to talk about a movie. It was quite an interesting movie I watched the other day, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people have already watched it. And it's a film called Saltburn, which is on Prime Video. It's actually free to watch as well, and I think it's a 2023 movie. And to be honest, I'm not too sure. I don't really follow if these like most film. I don't think it was in cinema, but it might have been. I'm not actually too sure. I can't answer that question. It could have been for all I know, but anyway, I'm just going to talk about this movie for a bit because I actually thought it was a fantastic movie. Obviously, I've seen a lot of like posts and stuff like that people think that this might have possibly been a true story. It's actually not a true story, people. So hate to burst your bubble, but this film isn't real. But still, it is a good film. It's a good movie. And it's actually extremely like messed up. It's actually a really fucked up film. So if you like watching messed up films, this is the film for you. Uh, I don't really want to give too many spoilers out there, but it's absolutely pretty disgusting at the same time as the movie, and it's pretty messed up. It's definitely some sort of I'm not too sure if it. I wouldn't say it's a psychological thriller movie, to be fair. But it is a reasonably good movie. It is a thriller movie. Thriller movies are more like where you don't know what's actually coming next, and this is one of them movies where you don't know what's coming next. But the best part of these kind of thriller movies is that you always think you know what's coming next, and then all of a sudden it turns out you never knew what was coming next anyway. Just to pre-warn people, it's absolutely disgusting at some points, simply because okay, fuck it. Okay, so people, I'm gonna give you a chance here. This is gonna be a spoiler alert. Okay, spoiler alert coming. So if you don't want any spoilers for the movie, I would seriously consider not watching the rest of this movie review. So I'm going to give you a second to process that now before I start spoiling the movie. Okay, so you've had your chance. So you're going to hear some spoilers here. Don't blame me. I did give you a chance. Awesome50 always gives you a chance. Okay, so basically, the film starts off where there's this young lad or whatever. He's in the class of 2006 in Oxford University. Obviously, Oxford University is a real place. And so, excuse me. So anyway, he's there or whatever, and then he's like a proper nerdy kind of guy, you know, into books and all that kind of shit. Well, that doesn't really make him a nerd, but if you watch the film, you'll know what I mean. So anyway, he's no mates. He's like a complete outsider, like reject kind of guy, which is kind of fucked up. And because obviously society was like that back then. And then he meets this really fucked up kind of person, which is a genius maths person. And then two form like some form of friendship or whatever. And it's not really a friendship, it's more like him being a passive aggressive dick. And the main protagonist, which turns out to be the main antagonist, is like forced to hang out with him. But then he meets this guy who he falls in love with. Now at the start of the film he says he's not in love with this guy, but he clearly is in love with this guy. Nothing wrong with that, I guess. So yeah. So basically, he somehow manages to mingle with this guy, and then when they're best friends or whatever, they party together, go to the same bar together, and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, the school semester finishes, the first year finishes, and then instead of going back to his normal home, to his normal family, he lied to his friend that his family's like really downtrodden, pretty much. That his father's died, and that his mother's like a substance abuse addict or something like that. So anyway, he goes back to Saltburn. Saltburn is like a massive like mansion set in the UK, which is like a house of royalty basically. Because when he goes to the Saltburn Academy, Saltburn Academy. What? Saltburn home. He's greeted by a butler, and yes, you have to be rich to have a butler these days because butlers are mainly hereditary. Basically, they pass down through generations, whatever. So anyway, I'm trying to speed this review up a bit, so I'm talking pretty fast because I don't like to exceed more than 10 minutes. But so yeah, you see pictures of like Henry VIII and like other monarchs which are like on the walls. That obviously insinuates that this family's part of royalty. So then he meets this guy who he adores, his parents, and they're very like fucking weird and eccentric, which most fucking rich people actually are because they don't have a clue what the outside world is really like. They think they do, but they don't know. So they're kind of eccentric, they're stuck and fixed in the ways, and they're borderline fucking insane. And then obviously he meets the guy he adores, his sister, and then his cousin, and then there's another girl there which came, and then she vanished at some point because they didn't like her. So the main protagonist is a guest, and he loves it there. He loves being waited on hand and foot, and he falls more in love with this guy. And then one day he sees this guy masturbating in the bath, and then he decides to drink the fucking bathwater. Well, lick the fucking bathwater, which is absolutely gruesomely disgusting. It's absolutely fucking wrong. And then there's another scene where he goes to the guy's sister, and then he eats her out when she's on her period, when she's menstruating. Which I wouldn't say. I mean, it's a normal bodily reaction, but come on, people, it's not something you actually want to. You know, on both parties, you don't. Neither one of you wants to do that, really. In any normal circumstances, I get it. There's such a thing called a rainbow kiss or whatever, but still, you wouldn't normally. It's out of the realms of normality, in my opinion. You know, like an agree to disagree kind of thing. So anyway, later on in the film, he kind of sabotages the family, and then his guy, who he fucking adores, finds out that he's a liar. So that means when he's obviously finds out he's a liar and he wants him to leave, but they've already organised the birthday present because they found out he was lying because it turns out his dad is still alive, and he was brought up in a fantastic middle class environment. So he lied. He lied about that. So anyway, in his party, he wanted to speak to his best friend, who he adores, who he loves, and then he gets rejected painfully, and then he has like a painful psychological breakdown, and then all of a sudden he spikes his drink, and then he dies. And then at the funeral, once he's been buried, he's buried there, the soil's there, and then they have the grave, you know, the cross and all that shit. He starts crying and sticks his dick in the soil, which is absolutely fucking beyond belief. It's absolutely psychologically cringing because it's like you're watching this film and you're thinking, what is going on and what's going to happen next? Because this is absolutely ridiculous. It's fucking mental. Yes. So obviously, yeah, there's some disturbing parts in the film. But then it all turns out later on it was his fault. He spiked his drink and then he pushed his cousin out by accusing him of being involved in the guy who he adores is murdered by giving him too many drugs in the party. But then also the sister who he munched out, he convinced her to kill herself in her grief. So therefore, 3 members of the family had vanished. So basically, the cousin got bobbed off, and then 2 of the family members fucking died. So it's left with the owners of the house, the father and the mother. But the mother wants him to stay there, but then the father wants him to go and even offers him money to leave because, you know. So he leaves, and then the film kind of just like freezes. Not freezes in a way, but then we have a time jump from, I believe, 2006 to 2022, where it's just the mother left who adored him, and she asks him to move back into Saltburn with him. And so he does, and then she ends up becoming terminally ill. And at the end of the film, he confesses everything he did to disintegrate the family so he could get in the will and then he could inherit everything from Saltburn. It was all one big plan on that little fucking prick's idea. That's what he wanted to do all along. Complete confidence trickster. Managed to get in there. Managed to fucking, you know, inherit everything. And then it shows at the end of the film, he's dancing around naked in the house to Murder in the Disco. So it's actually a really good film. It's not a bad film. Obviously, there's spoilers. I'll give you a shitload of spoilers here. I'll give you so many spoilers, it's beyond belief. But obviously, you want to watch the film still, you should watch the film. It is actually a really good film. Highly recommended if you're interested in the messed up kind of films in a way like that. If you're interested in a film that's going to keep you thinking what the hell's going to happen next, and this is the film for you. So yeah, I'll just give you a brief recap. Well, not a recap, should I say. A recap for me, but an overview for you people. So that's just an overview, what you're going to expect when you watch the film. There's a lot of other things I didn't cover, but I just covered the main bits which might make the film interesting because of how messed up the film really is. Okay. Right, this is, where, in my opinion, people, this is just purely my opinion now. The one thing I don't agree with in the film is that I believe the film's in age 15 in the UK. Now, I don't agree with that. I feel as though this film should be an age 18 movie for the sexual graphic content, as well as, you know, scenes of, you know, suicide, alcohol, tobacco, and, like, sexual grotesque shit in this film. Now, this film isn't for any 15-year-old to watch. No 15-year-old should have access to watch this film. No 15-year-old should be sat at home with their parents watching this fucking film. Because when you start watching the film, if you don't know anything about the film, it looks like a film for a 15-year-old simply because it starts off at Oxford University and then there's a gradual build up to how messed up the film gets. So basically, in my opinion, it's not an age 15 film. So why is it on there for age 15 people? It should be an age 18 for God's sake. It really should be. And with parties, alcohol, etc., like that, in the film, you, you're at Oxford University, probably around the age of 18. So why would a 15-year-old need to watch this film? It just doesn't make sense. Why you'd? It's not for an audience of 15-year-old. If I had kids, they wouldn't be watching that film at 15. I'd turn it off and I'd be complaining like mad. But still, I don't make these rules. But come on, we all know whoever's watched the film, this should not be an age 15. And this is a film you don't want to watch with your family either because of how weird it is and it will make you feel uncomfortable sat there with your family watching this movie. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to give this film, I'm going to say 8 out of 10 because it was actually reasonably good. I enjoyed it. It's a 2 hour long film, so it gets quite a lot in there. I mean, there's quite a lot of, there's a lot in the film. It covers everything. I mean, for some films that are only 1.5 hours, then you feel like there's like holes missing in the film, but for this 2 hour length film, it's just over 2 hours actually. You kind of get everything you need from the film. It's pretty good. In my opinion, the film could have made a really good series. If they wanted to expand it a bit, they really could have done that. So if this film was a series, it still would have worked just as good as it would have done a film, simply because they'd have all the messed up things, at least one per episode, if it was like a 6-part miniseries or something like that. But hell no, they did a film, so there's nothing wrong with that. It's good. It works. In my opinion, could there ever be a sequel or anything along the same lines from the same people? No. I don't think even if they did think about making a sequel or even a prequel, I don't think it will live up to this kind of standard because what they've done in this film, they can't just do again somewhere else. So yeah, this is like a one chance film kind of thing. Could it be a cult classic? No, I don't think so. It has the potential to be, but I don't think it will be a cult classic. But cult classics are only designed and they are only relevant a few years after a film has been like out for a certain length of time. Take The Big Lebowski for example. That's I think it's a 1999 film that only became a cult classic around 10 years later, if not 15 years later, and obviously it's like 24 years later or something like that. Now it's a cult classic. This film, don't think it will be. Unless all the actors hit superstardom, then maybe, but I don't think so. No sequel or anything like that will happen. No prequel, I don't think. Uh, yeah, that's it. Good film. I liked it. Kind of fun to watch. Everyone should watch it, apart from 15-year-olds. They shouldn't watch it. If you're 18, watch the film. If you're 15, don't watch the film. But it's one of them. When you say to someone, don't do this, they instinctively want to just do it. So if you want to watch the film, it's up to you, obviously. But I would suggest only watch the film if you are 18 years or older. Okay, I'm out. Awesome 50 out. I'm going to upload this video straight away.